Hello ladies and gents, we're here to talk about Dune. So it released, we've got the box office totals, and it has absolutely smashed it. I did a video yesterday where a lot of people jumped in without watching the video. And you do yourself a disservice. You all made yourself look really, really stupid. Because you read the headline saying that it was going to take, I can't remember the exact headline, something like 30 odd, 40 odd million dollars, smashing it, right? And then people were like, that's not a lot. It's like, whoa, that is a lot. That's a hell of a lot. It's an awful lot considering it was only released in 24 markets, very small markets with massive restrictions in place. So it did not as good as 40 million, better than it was early predicted. Like a week before its release, it was predicted mid 20 millions, 20 to 24 million dollars. It did, I believe it was 35 point something, so we'll round it out to about $36 million. Mega money for the markets that it was released in. So we're here to kind of talk about that, break it down a little bit more, and I guess really explain why that is so good for the markets and such that it was released in. Because a lot of people, they just see that number and go, oh yeah, but Shang-Chi did blah blah blah, and people said that wasn't good. It's like, yeah, whoa, Shang-Chi was released everywhere. Everywhere. Dune, 24 tiny markets, and it's nearly $40 million. It's pretty good, pretty damn good. Now it's all, it's all subjective. It's all, it's all kind of comparative, isn't it? Really. But this has done very well for the amount of markets it's been released in, and I just wanted to go into it because this is a great sign. We also do have a slight Jasper cameo. You can just see the back of his head there. He is ignoring me, as per the norm. And this video is not sponsored by Jasper, it's sponsored by me, where I want to plug my memberships and Patreon. So if you like what I do here on the channel, consider supporting it for as little as 99 pence a month, where you get access to a weekly playthrough. Currently doing Doom Eternal, and obviously that sort of, actually Doom Eternal, The Ancient Gods Part 2. And then that will move on to some other games in future. And you also get access to a weekly members-only live stream, as well as some other benefits if you choose different tiers. You can actually watch my films now for the Tier 2 or Level 2 membership, so check that out. There's a link in the description box. Or you can become a Patreon as well, which has different benefits, but head on over to Patreon, link in the description, and check them out. And also, if you want to send me stuff, because, yeah, this is me just rampantly plugging stuff, you can. I've got a PO box open now. I was asked by you guys to open it. I've opened it. Check it out. As well as my second channel in the description box. But let's dive into this now, shall we? So, this is courtesy of Variety. Variety did a really good job of sort of just breaking this down and listing the markets and also really just detailing the very, very stringent protocols in place and I guess hammering that home. And so I thought I would spot pick their article here. So Dune, the dazzling big screen adaptation of Frank Herbert's seminal sci-fi novel, ignited the international box office in its debut, collecting $35.8 million from 24 overseas markets. Now, I'm not 100% sure about that number because I have had it listed somewhere else as 25. I'd initially kept saying 24, so I thought it was 24, but I have seen it listed as 25, and as a result of that, don't quote that exact number, because it might be 25. I can't actually narrow that down, so just stay tuned for that one. But anyway, it's a promising start given the hobbled state of moviegoing in many foreign territories amid the pandemic. So, directed by Denis Villeneuve and starring Timothée Chalamet, Zendaya and Oscar Isaac, Dune ranked number 1 in most international markets. Right? Now, here's why this is so good, right? It had the strongest turnout in Russia. 7.6 million, from only 2.1 thousand screens. That's nothing. 2.1 thousand screens to take 7.6 million US dollars, really good. Really, really good. Correct me if I'm wrong, the exchange rate's not that great between Russia and the US at the moment. Followed by France, which put a really good amount in, and this is really important to note because France has huge COVID restrictions. We're talking massive COVID restrictions. And the French have not taken that lightly either. There was COVID passports brought in for eating at restaurants and things, and so the French, you can look this up, so the French decided to just have picnics outside the front of these restaurants. They're basically in protest, a silent, quiet, comical protest to say, hey, look, if you're going to make me have a COVID passport for sitting in your restaurant, I'm just going to eat my food outside your restaurant, and you can screw yourself, basically. Very comical. I like the way the French do stuff. They also sprayed Emmanuel Macron's house with shit, which is hilarious. You can look that up as well. That's absolute comedy gold. But the point is, to have $7.5 million from only under 1,000 screens, right? 892 screens, with such stringent protocols in place, that's very impressive. Very impressive. Now, Germany took 4.9 million from 900 screens. Not that impressive. Not that impressive, but still pretty impressive. And Italy, 2.6 million from 740 screens. And they were, in Europe, they were the ones hardest hit by COVID. So the fact that they were able to take even 2.6 million, I mean, that's mental. That is absolutely mental. Now, given its ambitious special effects, it's no surprise that many audience members opted to watch Dune on premium screens. This is the thing that I find surprising. So IMAX accounted for 3.6 million of this weekend's ticket sales, represented roughly 10% of the movie's total box office revenues. Now, I don't think that they even had... It was in another article, but the numbers of IMAX screens were none. There was none being shown. There wasn't many at all. So I'm really surprised that they were able to get as many as what they're saying there. Now here's an interesting one. So internationally, many countries still have capacity restrictions in place. So this is kind of going on to what I was saying, right? So including France, Italy and Germany, they've required patrons to have vaccine passports. So they are limiting. You imagine the amount of money they've taken and they're limiting that by having those stringent kind of protocols in place. Now, whether you agree or disagree with those things, it's not really the point. The point is that they are, dwarfing the market that they can have, especially in France. The France don't take those things lying down. They're really not happy about those kind of situations. So at the same time, Korea, Japan, Australia, and the majority of Southeast Asia reinstated stricter lockdowns. So it's not released there. There's no point. Meaning most multiplexes have been forced to close, and those given permission to stay open have reduced hours of operation in a positive sign for its big screen prospects. DUNE has finally secured a release date in China, so that actually happened yesterday, I think, when I released that video, and I said, oh, hey, it doesn't actually have a Chinese release. Now it does, which I think that's going to balloon this up. And it was already released in Hong Kong, if I remember rightly, as well this weekend. So it is showing a lot of positivity here. In those kind of markets, like it's done well, not massively well, but it's done all right. So from here, Chinese market, blah blah blah, and it's going to release in October 22nd, which is kind of always bound to happen anyway, just due to the fact that I think is it Wonder Group own Legendary. It was bound to happen. Now, Dune, the 165 million budgeted space epic from Warner's and Legendary, actually predominantly Legendary, they put up 75% here. Why? I've never understood why mainstream media doesn't list them first. Isn't opening in the US until October 22nd. That's actually good because it's releasing alongside China on the same date, so that's not really a big deal. The staggered release is a problem though, but I don't think it's actually going to hit it that hard. Where it will land simultaneously on HBO Max, I think a lot of people will still opt to go and watch it in theatres. I know a lot of people are very, concerned and things like that, but I still think a lot of people will go. I could be wrong, but we'll see. Villeneuve was initially upset about the decision to put the movie on HBO Max and said that he engineered to be seen on the big screen in digital platforms on the same day as its theatrical release, but the director eventually came around to the hybrid strategy. One reason Dune is premiering in North America so much later than the rest of the world is in an effort to curb piracy. What? I'm guessing because the other countries it's dubbed, maybe, and so they're like, wow, it doesn't really matter if we release it in those countries, no one's gonna, we're not gonna end that up online because it's not in English. Maybe, I guess. It's strange. Now they do some comments on like some other things that were releasing this weekend. Not actually any point in going into that. I don't want to. This is all about Dune. But they say here that Dune wasn't the only Hollywood movie to entice international audiences. Disney's Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings had another strong showing in theatres, pulling 20.3 million from 43 overseas territories over the weekend. So just to put that into sort of comparison there, and it's not really a fair direct comparison, but it does give you some kind of gauge. So Dune opens in 24 overseas territories. It hits $35.8 million. Shang-Chi, 43 overseas and struggles to hit 20 million. It hits 20.3. I mean, it's not great, is it? And it hasn't really taken that much money. It's generated 143 million internationally and 176 domestically, bringing a worldwide total to 320 million. Now, personally, because Dune has now secured a Chinese release, I think it will be able to absolutely obliterate Shang-Chi. I think that's actually quite literally a no-brainer. And that is, unfortunately, predominantly because it's been able to release in China. But there you go, Dune, smashing the box office. And it has smashed the box office. Hopefully this video kind of puts it more into perspective now. 24 countries with massive, massive issues with COVID, huge pandemic problems, protocols in place, very stringent. Still manages to pull in $36 million. Great. Really, really, really great. Always watch a video before you comment, just so you don't look like an idiot. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys. Leave your thoughts down below. Cheers. Take care.